Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, how about back with another football, aka soccer video for it today, man. We are going to be looking at the harsh reality of the Premier League relegation. Obviously, Leeds, Leicester, and Southampton have all been relegated, and sadly, it's part of the sport. But in bigger news, the man, the myth, the Messiah, Leo Messi is joining into I almost said into Milan. Is joining into Miami in the MLS. Oh my god, I'm pretty excited. I don't really watch the MLS now. I mean, if I choose a team, I'll say Atlanta United. But in general, it's gonna be really big for the league, man. You get Lionel Messi, probably the greatest player of all time, into the MLS. Absolutely outstanding. Excited to see how that goes next. How that goes next season. Um, can't wait. Just I can't wait. But let's go and get started. As always, don't forget to like the video and sub as well if you are new to the channel. Currently, the West Ham game and Fiorentina are playing the Europa League Conference League, like the shitty of shit. So it's below the Europa League, but it's still a trophy at the end of the day. So we are gonna see what goes down. We are gonna see what happens. Let's go and get started. Shout out to Tifo Football. Let's see, man.
Relegation. Nothing quite does more to damage a football club's long-term financial health than the dreaded drop. As the Premier League has grown to become more lucrative and financially rewarding, so too has the prospect of relegation become more imperious. But what does relegation really do to a football club's finances? And why do clubs fear the drop so much?
It's a pretty big drop.
We've spoken in previous TIFO videos about the things that matter most financially for a football club. Revenue, wages, transfer effectiveness, and debt or financial leverage. Now, let's look at how relegation has impacted each of these key financial health indicators using some famous relegated clubs as a guide. Now, we'll start with revenue. Relegated Premier League clubs typically see reductions of 50 to 70% in revenue in their subsequent season. Fulham's revenue dropped by 58% in the 2019-20 season post-relegation, and Norwich and Watford's revenues each dropped by 52% the following season.
You know how, like, that's a lot, especially for, like, smaller clubs, you could say. Like, the freaking drop-off they get, like, teams who come up and spend, like, a whole bunch of money on, like, bringing players and stuff like that, and then if you get relegated, you likely have to like get rid of some of those players just to get some money back, and you probably lost some money on them. Oh man, that's a jeez, 50 to 70%. That's crazy.
And the biggest driver of this is TV or broadcasting revenue.
Ain't nobody
The
watching
average
championship like
broadcasting
that
revenue,
compared to the
including
Prem.
facility fees for Premier League
Yeah,
clubs
I'm
is about
personally not.
£125 million, with the bottom clubs, the relegated ones, earning roughly between 100 and 110 million. By contrast, the average TV revenue in the Championship is between £5 and £6 million.
That's a big
And
ass
that
drop off.
is a £100 million drop-off.
God,
But there is a consolation prize. Relegated clubs receive parachute payments from the Premier League, meaning they earn a portion of what they earned in the previous season in their first, second and third seasons after getting relegated.
That's good.
The parachute payment in year one post-relegation amounts to 55% of broadcast revenues earned in the previous season. This drops to 45% in the second year and about 20% in the third year. For clubs that were promoted and immediately relegated, the parachute payments apply only for the first 2 years. So it's no surprise, given the magnitude of these payments, that recently relegated clubs often become the top earners in the Championship, and many would argue have an unfair advantage. The other side of that issue is that relegated clubs still suffer a vast drop in revenue, which forces whole-scale financial remodelling. On top of this, both matchday and commercial income see a decline too.
Yeah.
Sponsors are less attracted to a club that isn't playing in the Premier League, and matchday attendances and ticket prices both generally reduce. But the bulk of the impact is
Because it's the Prem. Sorry to pause, but it is the Prem. So like, when you're in the Prem, you're going to be against, you know, the Manchester Cities, the Uniteds, Chelsea's, Arsenal's, you know, Liverpool, stuff like that. When you go to the Championship, you know, I mean, I'm not really sure who's in the Championship. It's like what, QPR, Blackpool, like Blackburn, stuff like that. Like, am I going to a Leeds versus Blackburn game or a Leeds versus Manchester United game in the Premier League? No, I mean like, but also, but as always, like the the fans of these clubs are still going to go to the games anyway because that's their team, stuff like that. I mean, if I would still go. You guys know I like Manchester United, so that's not going to happen. But still though, man, it is. I mean, there are people out there, I ain't, like they don't want to be back in the championship. They ain't trying to be back in the championship.
Caused by the
They trying to stay in the
revenue.
Prem.
Now, wages are perhaps the most complicated issue and are inextricably linked to transfer effectiveness, so we'll address both of these jointly. Most Premier League clubs pay high wages to attract the best players in order to stay in the Premier League. This in turn means that those dropping out suddenly have very high wage bills and are about to see a sharp revenue drop as well. As an example, Everton's wage bill has consistently hovered between 90 and 95% of revenue. If Everton were relegated, they would see 50 to 70% revenue decline and the wage bill become unsustainable at roughly double the club's revenue. This would inevitably mean a fire sale of multiple players in order to lighten the wage bill, and it's unlikely that Everton would have got fair value in those deals.
Well, they only got relegated 2 years in a row, but they survived.
A good example is West Ham in 2002-03. Post-relegation, they lost multiple top players, either to expired contracts or below fair value sales. And players are also likely to want to leave, either because they consider themselves too good to play in the Championship, or because they have relegation clauses in their contracts and would therefore see a sizable wage decrease if they stay. This exacerbates the problem and severely impacts transfer effectiveness.
That sucks,
UEFA's wage bill guideline of 70% of revenue exists for a reason, and multiple Premier League clubs are dangerously above that level, none more so than Everton, who have the highest wage bill as a percentage of revenue in the Premier League.
Like, imagine going to, like, for example, Leeds, right? I'm going to use Leeds again because they got relegated. But imagine going to, like, Leeds. And you sign there, I think they had a decent season the previous year as well, or they just survived against something like that, But you kind of in the back of your head when you sign with that team, that hey, this team may have a chance to get potentially relegated. So you add like a relegation clause. Like, listen, if we get relegated, I ain't staying. I mean, like I ain't staying. I ain't staying. Like, no, not doing that. And it kind of sucks for the clubs as well because for them, they probably signed for like a 3-year deal, but it's really like a 1-year. Like a 1-year rental. It's not like a loan, but it's basically like a 1-year deal. And if they don't, sorry, I had to stretch, but if they don't like stay up, it's like damn. Well, they're gone. I mean, like they're gone.
Now,
we can't do anything about it.
Financial leverage.
We probably have to sell them off for money.
Of a relegation-induced debt crisis is Leeds United's relegation in 2003-04. So much so that it led to the coinage of the popular phrase "doing a Leeds" to describe financial mismanagement.
Doing a Leeds.
The Leeds reached a Champions League semi-final in 2001,
That's pretty
but
good.
their transfer spending was far exceeding other Premier League clubs and was almost entirely funded by debt.
They're just going
debt
crazy.
level rose from £9 million to 21 million,
Ooh.
39 million, 82 million, and then ultimately 119 million in the season before they were relegated.
What was he doing?
After failing to qualify for the Champions League in 2002-03, multiple key players had to be sold because debt repayments needed to be made and they didn't have the Champions League TV money to do that. As a result, many players had to be sold below market value. Their weakened squad could not survive in the Premier League, and Leeds were relegated and debt burden. Their financial woes carried on for almost 15 years, including 10 and 15-point penalties in successive seasons and a second relegation down to League One.
Ooh.
It took multiple ownership changes, smart recruitment, and Marcelo Bielsa's exceptional coaching to restore their Premier League status. So, ultimately, how much does relegation cost a football club? Well, clearly the answer varies by club, but it's safe to say it typically leads to a 50 to 70% revenue decrease, followed by changes in squad structure and personnel, and impacts the value of players sold. Debt burden can make things considerably worse too. It's no wonder then that managers like Sean Dyche and Sam Allardyce, widely known as relegation specialists, are in such demand at this time of the season. Whatever their cost, there's an argument that it's usually
Big
worth
Sam.
paying. If you like this video, please consider.
That was a very, very great video. Like I say, you just really see like the impact of like getting relegated needs for a lot of clubs. Like not just like the playing level, but like the debt, the money, revenue, all of that. Like the humongous decrease that happens sucks. It sucks. But it's part of English. It's part of football. It's country. I don't know why the MLS. I don't know why we don't have that here. A relegation system. I mean, it'd be pretty cool. But that sucks, man. Again, it sucks to them teams, but it's part of the game. But on that note, hope you guys did enjoy the video. Don't forget to like the video, sub as well as always. Take care. Stay amazing. As always, peace.